Hi, welcome. I'm Josh, and in this video I'm going to show you how to learn two instruments at once. I will show you the benefits of learning two instruments at once, and I will help you to create a practice routine for learning two instruments. Learning two instruments at once sounds super difficult at first, but actually if you have the right mindset and if you have a good setup practice routine, then it's actually better for you because you can improve on both instruments faster than with just one instrument. So let's start with the benefits of learning two instruments at once. The first one is you are much more flexible. So let's say you practice at home and you want to start a band or find a band, then it's easier for you to find someone to make music with if you can play different instruments, because if you're a guitar player and the market is full with guitar players, then it's hard to find a band. But if you're a keyboard player and many bands are looking for a keyboard player, there you go. The second benefit is your understanding of music and music theory will improve a lot. I started with playing the guitar and I had a really hard time learning scales and chords and how to build up these chords, how the theory behind these chords works. And later on, when I started playing the piano, I used the knowledge I already had on the piano, and suddenly I had a realization that it's so much easier to understand how a scale is built, how chords are built up, and I could use this knowledge again on my guitar, and it was easier for me to understand the chords. So actually I benefited from playing another instrument in the main instrument I was learning. And the third benefit is that you can be your own band. You can create the music you want to make. Being able to play more than one instrument can help you be more creative. So let's take again the example of me playing the guitar and the piano. I'm playing backing tracks with my guitar, so some basic strumming, some chords, and I try to create a melody with my piano because I find it easier than to create a melody on my guitar. Or let's say you want to create a rock track and you know how to play the bass or the guitar and the drums as well, so you can do everything at once. Let's say you live in an area where it's hard to find other musicians, or you have problems or you have difficulties finding musicians who want to make the same music as you do, then you could be self-sufficient. So you're playing the guitar and bass, or the guitar and vocals, or the guitar and drums, or whatever. And who's even going to tell you to stop at two instruments? Maybe you want to learn a third instrument or a fourth instrument as well. Okay, you won't master any of these instruments perfectly. So there's the saying like jack of all trades, master of none. But actually, if your goal is to be as good as one of these master musicians, like for the guitar, John Petrucci, then I would say focus on one instrument. But if you just want to make music, express yourself and want to create tracks, then maybe the basic knowledge of an instrument and how you can use it is enough to make a track, and you will improve in the coming years and be better at that instrument and can create more diversity in your tracks. Now let's talk about setting up a practice routine. And here it doesn't matter if you have just 1 hour, half an hour, 2 hours for your practice routine for the instrument you're already playing. You can use the time to learn two instruments at once. Of course, you have to split the time. So if you just have 1 hour, then you may practice in 2 30-minute sessions for both of your instruments. But if you have more time, then you can increase your practice time and let's say 1 hour for the guitar, 1 hour for the piano. And even if you just have a half an hour slot and you can practice 15 minutes for one instrument and 15 for the other, it doesn't matter. The only thing that really is important is that you are practicing constantly. So my general tip would be to learn the same things on both of your instruments. So scales, chords, and the music pieces. This will help you improve in your ear training as well. So when you're playing a scale on one instrument and you're repeating that same scale on another instrument, you already heard the scale, so it's easier for you to find differences or even to recognize mistakes. And it's easier for you because you can hear how a scale on a different instrument sounds and can recreate that sound. And the next benefit is that if you're practicing the same thing on two different instruments, you have to take a different approach. So you're actually doing the same content, but in a different way. So it's easier for you to memorize this without getting boring. And the next thing is that when you're learning chords and music theory, it's easier for you to apply the same theory on a different instrument because the theory is the same. The chord, the notes are still the same, they're just played differently. And so you just need to recognize where are the notes on that instrument, how do I have to lay my fingers and how can I use that, but you understand how the chord is built up. And last but not least, what's perfect for you is you can accompany yourself while learning musical pieces. And so you can learn a musical piece from different approaches, like the rhythm part or the melodic part. And it's easier for you to learn a song because you're looking at it from different perspectives, but the song still remains the same. You have the same structure, the intro, the verse, the chorus. The basic chords are the same, the song structure is the same. So let's say you're accompanying or you're just playing the rhythm parts with the guitar and you're playing the melody part with the piano, or you're playing the rhythm part with the piano and you're singing the melody. So whatever, but the song remains the same and you're looking at it from two different sides, which makes it really easier to memorize the song and its structure. But be aware, you should still separate both practice sessions. So even if you're doing the same practice sessions like scales, chords and songs, then you should use 30 minutes for the guitar and the other 30 minutes for the piano, or 1 hour or whatever you have, and not mix it up. Just at the end, when you finish both practice sessions, then maybe you can combine both and record yourself with the guitar and the piano and see if you learned the parts right and can combine them. And now for an example practice routine. The first thing you want to learn are techniques: picking, strumming, legato on the guitar, legato on the piano, finger positions, so where do you need to put your fingers for each scale, because these are the most important basic skills you need to progress further. Then you want to continue with learning scales. You start with the natural major scale, try to learn its natural minor relative scale, because the notes are the same, just the finger position is a bit different, so you can memorize the notes. And you should focus on a different scale every 2 or 3 practice sessions. Try not to stick too long with one scale, because you need to progress and improve your knowledge of all these scales. Even if you're not 100% perfect on one scale, if you have a clear view of how the scale is built up, it's enough. Get on to another scale and repeat the other ones you made in a week or 2 weeks before, once in a while, so you can keep them in your memory. Then the next thing, building up on these scales, should be chords. So if you have, for example, the C major scale, then you know that you need to play C major chord, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, and a B diminished. So these are the chords you have from that scale, which use all the notes in that scale, and try to learn them in their basic positions, and try to learn inversions, especially on the piano, as fast as possible, because this will help you a lot in the future if you want to play songs and makes it easier for the finger positions. And if not concluded in your scale practice, then include ear training, especially on both instruments, and try to learn to hear intervals and chords. I neglected this for a long time, and I wish I started sooner with ear training, because this will help you improve a lot on learning songs. Because you can hear the different intervals and you know which chord to play next, and don't have to look up chords and tabs online, and you can learn a track by ear. Speaking of tracks, the last thing in your practice session should be putting all that stuff you learned in a musical context, or easier to say, learn to play a song. It doesn't matter if you can play a scale super fast, if you know all the chords on every instrument, if you can't just sit down and play something for friends and family, or even join a band or record something and publish it. So what you want to do is learn a song, take an easy one. For example, if you're starting just in a C major scale, then you have no sharps or flats in it, and it's really easy to understand how a chord is built by the chord progression with just 4 chords. Learn that song on both instruments, and from then on you can improve and increase the difficulty as the same as you learn your scales and chords. And as soon as you got them in your memory and you can play these scales and these chords, try to use them in a musical context. Learn a song with especially these scales, these chords, so you can see how they sound in this context. So I know this was a lot to take in, but I hope I could motivate you to learn another instrument, or even to learn an instrument at all at the beginning. And even if you're just learning one instrument, I think the practice schedule or the session I just told you about is helpful to improve on that instrument as well. Let me know in the comments below if you are already learning an instrument or 2 instruments or even more instruments. I would really like to know how you are doing this and how you set up your practice routine, or if my practice routine actually could help you. Until then, I hope to see you in my next video, and bye.